In this video, I'm going to show how to remove the clutch on the K1200LT. Other K-bikes are going to be similar to this. The reason I'm taking this clutch off is it's in another video, but my transmission had a problem with it. I had the input shaft bearing go out in the transmission. Now when that input shaft bearing went out, it goes right inside here in the splines. The input shaft bearing started wobbling like this, and it actually sent the clutch out of alignment. So I'm going to have to realign this clutch, which basically now's a good time as any to pull this off. I'm going to pull these plates off, pull the clutch apart, and inspect the clutch. Now, according to the directions, first thing that we have to do, we have to loosen up these 6 bolts here to pull this the plate off. So hopefully things are not going to turn. If they do, I'm going to have to put a holder in there, but yeah, I'm starting to turn a little bit. Yeah. Alright, I have to get a holder of some kind in here. Now the book shows to put a piece of metal, use one of these bolt here, and you hook a piece of metal into here. If you don't have that available to you, and you have an assistant that can hold something else, we're going to use a little seal puller here and just hook it into the clutch face there, and we should be able to loosen these up now. You want to loosen these up in a crisscross pattern. And there's one over here. Slowly let the pressure off of the clutch disc without everything going crazy. Now the other thing we're going to do before we completely disengage everything is we've got to make sure we mark everything. So there's got to be a mark. There should be some paint marks on the side of the disc or something where everything lines up correctly, but we're going to make sure that everything's in line. So let me go get a marker right now before I go any further. It says to mark everything, but on this one, because it has this big heavy plate, you can't see all of the other things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a mark on it. Let's just say it's going to be right up here. Alright. And then when we pull these 2 screws off, I'll mark the plate behind it, so that way it goes back in the same position. What could possibly go wrong? You need this.
Okay, got it.
Alright. Let's take the parts apart here. Now, we've got this ring in here. I don't want to upset its where it's sitting, so I'm going to just mark it about where that other one is to make sure we can get it back in the same position. Okay. Here we go. So, we got the clutch out here now, and we're going to pull this apart. There's that. Pull it off of the retaining pins. Wait a minute. Wait, don't want to go any further. I know everybody wants to see what's going on for some reason. So we're going to pull these pins off. And then pull the whole unit apart in order to get the clutch out. Hopefully. Come on there, Johnson.
Ooh, we're getting the manual.
There we go. Okay, you can see this pressure plate here. Nothing really going on there. It doesn't even look bad at all. It's got a little bit of marks on it, but nothing serious. I don't see any real evidence of oil. All right, so that's some good news, is that there's no oil contamination on this. So I'm gonna check this by miking, putting a mic on here and seeing if I do need to replace it anyway. If I still got 50% or better of the life on it, this thing's going back in. I'm not one to spend an extra 200 some bucks just because I can. All right, now next we're gonna take this. I take this plate off here. This is your what is this part? The friction part, where anyways, the clutch rod pushes in here, and this is what disengages your clutch or engages your clutch.
That is the...
So now we have to pull all of this up. We got to pull this cover here. Oh man. Got to pull this cover off next. Now with our bar here mounted across, if you don't know where to get these, you can email me, and I will send you a copy of how to make this bar. Or there's of course BMW sells a special tool that costs quite a bit of money. So if you have an unlimited wallet and you still like to get your fingers dirty, by all means buy the BMW tool. In fact, my friend Chris Harris out there, I'm sure he'll squeeze Arschlock the pig for me, just for that reason. So we're going to take this nut off of here. I don't know how floated it's on there, but we also have to discard the nut once we get this big 30mm nut off of here. This gets thrown away because we have to buy a new one. It's put on there with a torque setting that will stretch the bolt. It's definitely on there. So that bolt is definitely one, or that nut is definitely one that you will have to buy from BMW. Without question, you have to buy a new one. I can see that there's oil on the back side of this.
And here.
And oil down in here, so I very well may have a leaking rear main. Now we remove these bolts, and we're going to take this housing off. So we have to remove this this thrust ring here. So we're going to pull that off of there. We'll get a little hook tool behind it and hopefully pull that out. That. Now there's an O-ring that's inside here. And we have to work this plate off of there.
Oh, I think you stopped.
Now we have to pull this off by just moving it back and forth a little bit. There's an O-ring that's holding up the works. We might have to cut it, but
It only comes up so far and it stops.
Yeah, see, there's the O-ring. I can see
There
it
it
there.
is, yeah. Wait. There it is.
Okay, just had to cut it. Now it should come off of there. There we go. So now we're going to attempt to take the seal out of here. The instructions tell you to remove the intermediate housing. We're going to forego that. We're going to try to do this without doing that and find out, do we really need to remove this? Because I don't, we're going to have to pull off the alternator and a bunch of other bolts to get this housing off of here. Heck with that, let's just pull this thing off and see if it works. So we're going to take our little our seal tool here, hook it in there like that, and hopefully be able to pull this seal off of here. Alright. Stop. That's it. Looks like it came out. There it is. It's out. Yay.
Might be able to save it.
Yeah, I don't see why not. This looks perfectly reusable.
Low budget.
You just have to bend this in. We're low budget here. Okay, no, just kidding. The seal material, and it's really super hard. You can see it bends and just deforms and stays pretty deformed. So this seal was done, and now we've made it official. It's really done. So there's that. Next. Okay. Now we got our clutch housing. We have to clean the, you don't really have to clean too much on this surface. Make sure your washer's still there. But you have to put some lube in here. I've got some Staubrogs paste that I'm going to put on the splines, so when it goes back in there, we're all good to go here. The thing about the Staubrogs paste is that it's very, it's real high quality stuff, and it goes, a little bit goes a long way. And it's so expensive that you don't really want to have to keep buying it. There's a guy on eBay that sells it for about $1 a gram. So now we're going to take the new thrust washer, put it on there. It has a little raised area. It has to be facing toward the engine. So we're going to just go ahead and put this thing back in. Line it up on the splines. Seat it in there. Okay. Now we're going to take our new O-ring that comes with the kit, with the new nut and thrust washer. We got to oil this thing up. And that's going to go deep inside there into that one recessed area. We're going to use the new thrust washer to make it happen.
You want to try to press that in somehow?
Yeah, with this. We're going to use this. Just make sure we get it going in the right direction. It's got the raised shoulder facing toward the engine, so it goes in that way.
Okay.
So we got our new O-ring in there. Now we got to clean these threads up, because this needs to be, the nut on here has to be installed dry. So we don't want any oil to mess with our torque settings. Now we install the new thrust ring here.
You already got the O-ring in?
We got that all cleaned up and put back on there. And we got to install our new thrust ring here.
Washer. Nut.
Nut. So we install this one with the shoulder facing away from the engine. Now we have to remount our clutch holder back on here so we can get this thing tightened. So we'll do that off camera. Now we're going to tighten this down by hand. Now we need to torque. We need to put our torque wrench on here and tighten the nut down to 140 newton meters or 103 foot-pounds. So go through this in several stages. And then we'll have to fully release it as well. And then retorque it. And then we have to stretch the bolt with the torque angle meter. It's kind of a three-stage process here.
There's no ratchet on this.
Yeah.
Right?
No ratchet. Alright, good.
We got a light. Okay.
Okay.
And you're running.
Alright, now we have to loosen this all the way up. So it's loose again. There it is. You're gonna want to use that bigger bar.
So much for my massive strength.
Maybe if you put your troubadour outfit on.
Oh. You have no idea
Welcome
what
to
that does
15th
for me.
century
The power
mechanics.
of the troubadour.
Welcome to 15th century mechanics.
All the way off?
I'll just all the way loose. That should be all the way loose.
Yeah.
Okay, now we gotta retighten the clutch nut down to 37 foot-pounds.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, got light.
And now we got to put our torque angle meter on here. Whatever I did with it. There it is. And the object here is to get this thing so that it will stay when you turn this. This thing will rotate with it, and as the bolt stretches, it'll go down where it needs to go here. So we're going to zero this out, and then with this thing, definitely helps to have an assistant here. I got this stuck in this position, and then we're going to watch that, and as he stretches that bolt, it's going to come in and he's going to stop when it hits 60.
Say when.
Oh. Just don't want anything to slip. Okay, go ahead. And right now we're stretching the bolt. Just keep going. We got to take this thing out to 60 degrees.
How close are we?
We're at 40. Just try to keep it straight.
Yes.
Okay, a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. A little more. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Stop. Right there. Alright, we're there. So now we're going to install our clutch. So we got to remove our little holder device here. We're going to take the little bit of Stavrog's paste here, and we're just going to lube up this outside edge here a little bit to when it touches that ring that's in there. I just don't like to use a whole lot of anything because anything around the clutch could turn into a mess. Okay, now we're going to take and put a little bit on these contact points on the pressure plate. I'll just use my finger for this. And I'll make sure it's all aligned correctly before we put it back in. So I don't have an alignment tool. I didn't buy one. So I'm going to use the push rod, the clutch push rod. Comes out of the slave cylinder. A 7/16 socket, and just run it on there, and you can see it's gonna fits in there pretty tight. This is the old clutch disc, but it fits in there pretty tight. So that way, when we line this thing up, we'll be able to line it up correctly, get everything lined up, squared up correctly. This is going to go inside that shaft like that, and then everything's going to get right in place, hopefully. So, there we go. Looks like I just pulled the ring right off. So we'll put our spring back in, hopefully.
It's just that easy.
I'll hold it in. Over.
Okay, just put it up there into place, and we'll align everything.
Perfect.
Oh, there it is. Now when you're eyeballing this thing, you want to just make sure when we start tightening down here that the clutch is centered in the pressure plate. That's going to be pretty dang close. So we have our, you got to buy brand new bolts and these little crush washers.
Pre-clean them.
And we've already cleaned them up, sprayed them down with some battery cleaner, to use brake cleaner. That's typical of me. Just going to continue to, make sure everything's hand tight, and then we're going to do a crisscross pattern to get all these. My assistant here is going to hold that again, hold the clutch cover, and then we got to torque these down to I think it's something like 18 Newton meters or something. Now we're just tightening these up just until they bottom out before. So then we'll set the torque setting to 18 Newton meters. And alright, that's it.
Worked pretty good.
Yeah, work for it.
So there's the clutch. Now we'll bring in the transmission next and put that back on after we assemble it.
Stay tuned.